My boyfriend told me that he is ashamed of my unprofessional clothing, so I kicked him out of my apartment and told him to date someone else. I have been dating my boyfriend for about 8 months. I have always had a very alternative look, even as a child, that got more expressive as I grew up. Colorful hair, facial piercings, tattoos, and dark and bold makeup. This is how I feel most comfortable and happy. When we started dating, my BF said he liked my look, even though he basically dresses. He even hyped me when I showed him new makeup looks or outfits. However, a few days ago, as I was getting ready for work, he kept making weird faces at me. I asked him what was up, and he said nothing but kept shaking his head. This irritated me because he was bothered, but I wouldn't entertain him with his huffy behavior. I finished getting ready and tried to kiss him goodbye like always, but he just turned away from me. This really hurt my feelings, and I can't even lie. I cried a little bit on the way to work. I tried to text him during my breaks, but he didn't respond. When I finally got home, he still wouldn't say anything to me, so I lost it. I asked him his problem and why he was treating me this way. He motioned to my clothes and simply said, "That." I didn't know what he meant, so I asked what he meant, and he said something like, "I just can't believe you'd wear that to work." I was confused because this is what I always wear. I told him, and he said, "Yeah, I know, it's so unprofessional. You'll never accomplish anything looking like that." I couldn't believe he said that to me. I was fighting back tears at this point, trying to tell him that my job allows it and that I'm not the only one who dresses like this. He kept repeating himself and said that it would not be that good of a job if they allowed me to look like that. I couldn't take it anymore and left for my sister's house. He called me and I told him to fuck off, that I wasn't going to change my look because he didn't like it. He called me selfish, saying that I was ruining our future together because I couldn't sacrifice one thing so we could have a good life together. Even though my job allows it, it's a good paying office job. There was no reason for me to sacrifice anything. After that, I hung up on him and ignored him for the rest of the night. I explained everything to my sister, and she agreed that my look was unprofessional. But if it didn't cause issues at work, then it shouldn't matter. The next day, I had about 1 million messages from him saying how selfish I was being and ruining our futures. I started feeling really guilty for leaving. I feel like I'm not wrong here, but even my sister agreed with him, so I don't know. Update post. 5 days later. My BF finally returned to my apartment Sunday. There was no message or call, just walked in like nothing happened. I immediately started questioning him, asking where he had been and why he hadn't answered me. He gave me a half-assed response saying his mom needed help with something and he forgot to tell me. I told him he couldn't just ignore me for 3 days and he said he wasn't, even though he clearly was. I was already upset, so I told him that even if he wasn't ignoring me, how he treated me before he left was messed up. Of course, he just starts saying he didn't do anything wrong and was just trying to help me see how I'm hurting both of us by dressing the way I do. I tell him for the 500th time that my job does not care what I wear, and it's not his concern. He said that even if my work was okay with it, other people did, and he shouldn't suffer. This is where poop went south. I started yelling. Who is saying that? Why does it even matter? He says no one, but he sees the way people stare, and it embarrasses him. I cried because I was so hurt. He told me to stop being dramatic and that it isn't a big deal. But at this point, I'm beyond pissed. I said if he's so embarrassed by how I dress, he can date someone else. He starts to freak out, saying that's not what he meant and is just worried about what people think. I keep asking people because clearly their opinion is more important than how I feel. He kept looking around and trying to change the subject, saying, "There's no one specific but." I told him I didn't want to hear it and to leave right now. He said things like, "Are you serious? And you're gonna act this way over clothes?" I just told him to get out over and over, and eventually he left, making a big deal of stomping out and slamming the door. Monday, I put all his poop in a box and left it outside and texted him he could come to pick it up when he brought me back my key. I told him we were done because I wouldn't be with someone who treated me like this. He kept messaging me, but I ignored it. He arrived at some point and picked up his stuff but didn't leave the key. I was extremely worried that he would try to come into my apartment while I was asleep or away, so I called my dad and he changed my locks for me. Overall, I'm just highly emotionally exhausted and heartbroken. I knew his behavior towards me was crappy, but I was genuinely hoping it was him being bad at communicating. I was too hung up on it being about my style and not him being manipulative, like you said. I do think maybe someone specific got into